I'm Sam.
And I'm Samri.
And welcome to the Chopsticks,
Chopsticks
and
and
Fork
Fork,
Please
please.
podcast. Yeah, so you had a topic you wanted to talk about.
The topic is baby formula shortage.
Ooh, okay.
In the US, there's currently a shortage of baby formulas, and especially for formulas that are for sensitive children, or let's see,
Like
for those who are lactose
lactose
intolerant.
intolerant, any child with like allergies.
Yeah. I learned about the formula shortage a while ago, but I was really, I guess,
It hit
home
because you had a friend who
Yeah.
had difficulties finding baby formula.
Yeah, and she was telling me, the trials and tribulations that mothers of infants have to go through
Yeah.
who can't produce their own milk, and at the same time they have to, like, they can't buy as many as they can or they want to from a store. They have to, like, do it in increments.
Yeah.
Like, she was telling me how every person is limited to, like, a unit, like, meaning like 6 bottles
Right.
or 6 cans.
Okay.
And her infant can only have the sensitive formula for through Similac.
Okay.
And if she has anything else, she breaks out and, like, she turns red and
Yeah.
she cries and fusses and all that stuff. So
that's kind of crazy. Yeah. Like we live in a world where, like, because I feel like in the old days, if a kid was like lactose intolerant or had like an allergy, but they didn't have like anything else except for like dairy stuff, then they'd be like kind of screwed.
That's true. I mean, they do have alternatives. Like, she currently prepares oat for her, like oatmeal, dilutes it with water, and it doesn't have gluten, so it's okay for babies to have.
Yeah.
But it's not it doesn't have the nutrients.
It doesn't have the
and probiotics for brain development.
It doesn't have all the good stuff that the breast milk has for development.
Yeah, it's really interesting. It's magic.
I remember just thinking back on. I took a class on child psychology, and then one of the major things was like, yeah, breast milk is the best. If you can do breast milk, like, definitely, like, do it. But the story got me thinking about it because I knew of a different, like, baby formula story from like a while ago. It was mostly like how Nestle essentially killed babies
in West Africa.
West Africa. Like, legit, like, I consider it just like Nestle, like, directly responsible for like the deaths of like a lot of infants because they were advertising their baby formula in West Africa, and they were kind of advertising it as, oh, this will make your baby smarter. This stuff is better than breast milk.
And it was in the 70s?
Yeah, it was also in the 70s too, so there's not like much like information going around. And these women's like, oh, we want our babies to grow up smart and like sophisticated like the city. These are what they use in the Western world. So,
and they also promoted it because you told me about it.
Yeah, and they also promoted it. They're like, oh, here, we'll give you some free, we'll give you like free sample, like essentially like a free sample, like a free hit,
Yeah.
And then
also
long enough for the women to stop producing their milk.
Oh, yeah. You have to always pump if you want.
Yeah. It's like long enough so that the woman would stop producing milk. And then they're like, oh, now you gotta pay for us. So then these women start buying the baby formula, but they start rationing it. And they're not using clean water, they're using like dirty, they're using like well water.
Okay.
Right? Which isn't the cleanest.
Yeah.
And the formulas aren't meant to be rationed. They're meant in like portioned, portion sizes, right?
Oh, okay.
And so you had all these babies just dying of like malnutrition because Nestle was like, heh heh heh, money, right?
Yeah, because it is a market, because in the US it's saturated.
Yeah,
But in third world countries, they can just claim anything. There's no competition. Whatever they put in it too.
Yeah.
There's no FDA in like those countries.
Nestle in general tends to be a rather evil company, from what
my half brother works for Nestle.
Well, sorry, Samri's half brother, and also goodbye Nestle sponsorship, I suppose.
I guess. Yeah.
But yeah, because the whole bottled water industry that Nestle has a good stronghold over is also pretty bad for the environment. They're destroying natural rivers and creeks and stuff like that in order to fill these water bottles. I'm not saying that you shouldn't be drinking water bottles, because I definitely know that there are areas that you kind of have to have water bottles. But if you live in an area where the water is clean, you just go ahead, just drink tap water.
Yeah, in Washington State, it's clean. Yeah. It tastes really good. It's the same as... I feel tastes better than bottled water.
But yeah, we're privileged. We live in a privileged area where we can drink the tap water and it's fine.
Yeah, it's clean.
I'm all about that H2O life, baby. That dihydrogen oxide.
Hi.
Yeah, so...
And also the thing that I wanted to mention about the Nestle thing, they were promoting it as being a feminist thing. That will give women the opportunity to be city women, working class, workers. They don't need to worry about pumping their breasts or taking their babies to work. They can work and just feed their babies formulas.
Yeah.
But it's best to, as you said, to just stick with breast milk. But there are issues with for women who because I saw a video with this famous YouTuber. She had a baby. She's in her 40s, and she talked about getting yeast infection in her nipple.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, because it's always wet, and then also when they start teething, they bite.
People start biting. Yeah.
Yeah.
There was I know for sure. I heard stories that are actually I would have relatives talk about someone else where it's oh yeah, this individual had pumps the milk out and puts it in bottles because they get hyper anxiety when it came to having the baby suck the breasts.
Yeah, because apparently there's a shot of nerve pain.
Yeah.
When they latch on.
Yeah.
And then
interesting.
yeah. You're being fed on and yeah. So the yeast infection part, I'm ew, and it becomes raw and very super sensitive.
Yeah.
Because of the vacuum, and so then, and also it's pretty cool because, I suppose you asked me last night when I told you about the shortage of baby formula, or maybe I asked myself, but what did women do before baby formulas?
Yeah.
Right? Because they had to get wet nurses.
Right.
It's called wet nursing.
Yeah, someone who is pregnant and would also take care of your kid and could also feed the baby their own breast milk.
Yeah, 2 breasts, 2 babies.
Yeah, you got two boobs. You got 2 boobs.
And when it comes to wet nursing, there's a history in the US of white women basically they have these slave women. They would have them go from house to house
Yeah.
feeding different babies.
Oh, jeez, yeah.
Yeah, they would just like exchange it between different families.
Oh, damn.
Yeah, so like as long as there's something sucking on it,
Mm-hmm.
you can produce milk for a long
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
Like babies can feed on breast milk for like until they're 4 or something.
Wasn't that a whole thing in whatchamacallit?
Made?
I wasn't thinking
No?
about Handmaid's Tale. I was thinking about Mad Max Fury Road, where the dude was just like had like all these women just getting milk sucked out.
The honeybee.
Yeah, the honey. I forgot the details about it, but that was like a thing that happened. I was like, oh.
Yeah. Like all these sons being born and then
Yeah.
a few
And
women.
they're like they wanted to. They're like, oh, we want to get approval from father or something like that. I don't know the details.
Yeah, it was weird. But yeah. But yeah.
Mm-hmm.
There was wet nursing, and it also like during breastfeeding apparently it acts as a birth control.
Really?
Yeah, so since white women wanted to have as many babies as possible, like they would have like babies back to back.
Yeah.
That's the reason why they would need wet nurses.
Oh, okay.
So then they
pop
could
out.
just like
You can have another kid while when during like right away.
Yeah, and then also like being pregnant makes women more attractive. And also their boobs tend to sit higher or whatever. So there's that too.
Yeah.
They wanted to stay like attractive to their husbands.
Okay.
And also the insidious part of it is also they would to time their slave women to be pregnant at the same time. They would get them raped when they have sex with
Women are brutal.
Yeah, humans in general are brutal, but like for women it's stuff you don't see.
It's very
like the historical
subtle.
things.
It's super subtle. Yeah.
You know, because history books don't talk about that. It's just
no,
nowadays that like people are like, did you know this? And I'm like, oh wow, okay.
Yeah, you learn like the really brutal side of like history, and there's like stuff. Yeah, like they don't tell you this in high school history class.
Yeah.
They're just like, oh, when did World War II happen? And you're just like, who cares?
Yeah.
I find it very impressive that like high school history can make history boring. Because like that's actually a lot of fascinating stuff, you know. But they just describe it and teach it in the most boring way possible.
It's also very focused on Western Europe.
Yeah.
And how Western Europe is better than Eastern Europe, and of course how Europe in general is better than like Asia and Africa.
Yeah.
And then it sort of like I was actually thinking about this recently where I'm like, if it wasn't for like Christianity was used to be like the initial thing before the invading force comes in.
Yeah.
They like send missionaries to get people like hooked spiritually.
Yeah.
And then they send the soldiers.
Okay.
And then the politicians and all that stuff take over.
Yeah.
And then they like suck all the nutrients and resources from the country and labor and all that stuff.
Yeah. I feel like they still do that now. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the reason why I was thinking about that is because I was thinking like China is moving into Africa, but the way they're doing it is not the same as far as like they're not taking Confucianism or Buddhism or Hinduism to African countries. They're just coming in and they're like, we can build you roads, just give us your soil.
Just give us your soil, give
that
us
you're
your...
not
That you're not using, Just give us your like raw materials.
Give us your dirt, we will make sure that your grandma doesn't pass away
Yeah.
because you can't drive her to the hospital.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because I was also talking to my dad, who's Jamaican,
Yeah.
and he told me, because when I went to Jamaica, it was like in 2017 or something, or maybe even before that, and no one was using the toll roads.
Yeah.
Because the Chinese built long highways.
But like only only like the rich can use them, right?
Yeah, but now everyone uses it apparently.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, because he said it's the like the everyday Jamaican. They compared, okay, when I go through the back roads that are like gravel roads or like broken down, like you have to like dodge potholes and stuff, and it's not safe for, like, they would go high speeds in like these like really windy roads, and people are like always jaywalking. Anyways, it's not good for the car.
Yeah.
And it's very expensive to import cars.
Yeah.
So in order to keep your car alive for longer,
you gotta use
just pay the toll, even though it's pretty expensive actually.
Yeah.
It's still better, and it's also very fast. He told me in order to like go from like one part of the island on like the narrow part, north to south, it will take you just 30 minutes instead of 2.5 or like 1.5 hour.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because it saves time and it saves your car.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's just very valuable for you. It raises your quality of life in general.
Yeah.
And it also supports businesses because you can move different products across the country.
Yeah.
Faster.
Yeah, that's kind of like the goal of the highways. It's like it's one of the more efficient like usages of like for car transportation or transportation in general. Originally, actually, the highway was meant for military purposes.
Oh, okay.
Where it's the best way to transport, transport things with like a large quantity of people in like one go, in a caravan or something like that. Like, have you seen a military training exercise?
On the highway.
On the highway in the middle of the night, where you just see a giant truck, like a tank, in the highway in the middle of the night, and you're like, oh, what's going on?
Yeah. I mean, most of progress happens because of military.
And they starts with military, and then it's like, oh, we can use this for civilian purposes too.
Yeah. Like, what is it? The telephone or
telephone,
whatever,
radio.
Yeah, all these things. Like, I'm like, do we need to always be in conflict to, like, in order to travel space? Do we need to be attacked by an alien species?
Yeah, right. Or like, or we need to have a dick measuring contest with Russia in order to like get to space.
Yeah. Like, who will get to Mars faster, or who will go to
the moon first?
M-class?
That was the whole thing. That was like the reason why like there's the space race, the 70s space races, because it's like, oh, Russia sent a monkey into the atmosphere, or they sent a man into the atmosphere. We need to one up that. Right? So I was like, okay, now we're going to the moon,
Yeah, monkeys. I think there was a thriller or a horror about monkeys.
Oh yeah, Planet of the Apes.
To space.
Planet of the Apes. I forget what. I think it was a guy who like goes into space, right? And then he lands on a planet where like monkeys rule.
Oh really?
Yeah, but then you find out that he landed back on Earth.
Oh. Oh really?
Yeah, and monkeys had taken over.
So he had been in space that long?
I forgot what the exact details were. Oh. There's like a prequel movie of like how the monkeys took over too. Something like that. I don't know. I never really paid too much attention to Planet of the Apes.
I should watch.
It is sci-fi. It is like a classic sci-fi thing, though.
Okay. Yeah, I should watch that.
Yeah, you have monkeys riding on horses and stuff like that.
Yeah. Wait, did we review Cobra Kai?
No, we did
the
not.
latest season?
We did not. We can do
Should
that
we
later.
do another episode?
Yeah, later.
Okay.
Okay.
Thanks for tuning in. Hopefully you learned something about breastfeeding and
And Nestle.
yeah.
All right,
Bye.
see you later, everyone. Bye.